peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
To you, and thank you for finding time to be with us today. The show is Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Gutu, and it is a pleasure to have you on board today. I'll bring my panelists in a short bit. Before you get to that, I'd like to bring us up to date with the latest news headlines from Kenya, and then some of that will form basis of our conversation this morning. We start with the Standard newspaper. The main headline is Uhuru losing grip on power. The last few days have seen President's allies like Governor Waiguru decamp to Ruto's UDA, while others like Duale, who were measured in their response, have openly taken him head-on. The story is on page 6 of the Standard newspaper. Here are the Kenya's priciest and cheapest banks. That is on the Financial Standard, and Jubilee set to officially kick Ruto out. The story is on page 5, and just beside that, court stops swearing in of judges. That must be a reprieve for President Uhuru Kenyatta. The story is on page 8, and we turn our attention now to the Star newspaper. And the main headline, OKA strategy leaves Raila in a tight spot. Alliance could deny him or DP Ruto the requisite 50% plus one vote and force the country into a runoff. The story is on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. And a Kenyan makes emotional plea for climate change. The story is on page 6. We know the COP26 is currently underway in Glasgow, in Scotland. And the story is on page 6. And Willie Kimani murder cop can't prove accused husband was at home. The story is on page 3. And Moi era farms could mint billions over supplies in the 90s. The story is on page 8. And IEBC misses voter registration target. I think we all know that by now. Stories on page 7 of the Star newspaper. And we turn our attention to the Daily Nation. The main headline, heads want schools close to end crisis. We'll look at that, I think. The story is on page 7. And remark angers Ruto allies. Some argue war on graft is a ploy to derail his bid for top seat. The story is on page 5. Taxpayers' loss, how claims ballooned from 1.4 billion Kenya shillings to 34 billion Kenya shillings as state officers watched. The story is on page 10. Voter listing extended. By Sunday, IEBC had listed 1.2 million out of the 6 million voters it targeted. The stories on page 6. And climate leaders in Glasgow for last best hope. The stories on page 23. And the main headline just down there, Uhuru camp sets date to kick out rebels. So that is also on page 6 of the Daily Nation. And Kenya on coalition path with the IMF. Kenya last month lifted requirements for individuals or businesses to disclose in writing to banks the source and destination of withdrawals and deposits above 1.11 million Kenya shillings. Backstory. And Matiang'i protect women's aspirants. He asked all organs to ensure safety for female candidates and urged aspirants to exercise political maturity ahead of the 2022 polls. So that is what we have on the front pages of our leading newspapers this morning. I'm now joined by Professor Jared Onyari. Professor, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam, my fellow panelists, our viewers from wherever they are, be it their morning, evening, afternoon.
All right, good morning, and I'm being requested if you could just, yes, adjust that headroom, Prof. Thank you. All right, and we're also joined by Sharon Gitonga from Nairobi. Sharon, good morning.
Thank you very much, Miriam, and a very good morning to you right at the headquarters in Nairobi, and to my colleague panelists, Professor Jared Onyari and Samuel Tawish, and to all our viewers watching us, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, across the globe and across the country at large. It is a pleasure to be part of this morning show discussion. Good morning.
Okay, good morning. And finally, we are also joined by Samuel Tawish. Tawish, good morning to you.
Very good morning indeed to you, Miriam Ogutu, at our communication headquarters. Good morning to Professor Jared Onyari, as well as Sharon Gitonga, and all our viewers who are tuned into this program in Africa and the rest of the world.
All right, so before we get into the politics of it, I think there's something that has been making headlines in the recent past, and that is the unrest that has been experienced in some of the schools, in high schools in this country. And so let's just look at what the head teachers now are demanding. The story is on page 7 of the Daily Nation. And a demanding crash program has pushed secondary school students to the edge, resulting in a wave of unrest across the country. School heads have called for a half-term break to ease the pressure brought about by the schedule introduced to make up for the time lost during the 10-month closure of schools last year. Whereas other terms have breaks, this doesn't have one. Children have a tendency of asking for certain things in a certain way. We shouldn't wait for other schools to be burned down before we approve a break. We had not envisaged this, but when you see the escalation even in schools with no such history, there's a problem. Such a wave can become contagious, said the chairperson of the Kenya Secondary Schools Heads Association, Mr. Kahi Indimuli. Prof, I'll start with you because you're the teacher in the house. Should we let these children just have their way, or what should be the solution for what we're seeing right now in our schools?
Miriam, that's a very good question, and Miriam, I hope you were brought up in the traditional setting.
I was.
The way I do, and we used to have those 3 stones. You can see them where we put the sphere. Mm-hmm. 1 stone there, 1 3. Miriam, that is education. The student is 1 stone, the teachers is 1 stone, and the parents is 1 stone. So when you find one stone repairing, there's something it is telling us, Miriam. Education is a triangle, Miriam. It must be complete. The triangle must have 3 sides. I have been involved in doing the study, research on banning of schools and unrest in schools. You know, Miriam, the problem in this country is that people don't make use of information. It is either they pretend or they masquerade that they know, or they ignore, or they know too much, or there are other things they are just involved with. If I give you a very good case study of what happens happened in Buruburu, you saw yesterday one of the parents is so bitter and is saying that this arrogance of the teachers. You are being told that there's some signals that these students are going to ban the school, and you say go and ban. Which stone has fed us now, Miriam? So, Miriam, if we have to, you know, Miriam, it is true we are piling too much pressure on our children. This class problem, Miriam, it can cause it, especially those who are not prepared, Miriam. A few of them. It is not the rest of it, but a few of the discounted students can do that. So what we need to do, Miriam, and we have given recommendation that, Miriam, that we must have counselors, chaplains in schools. Miriam, I can tell you for a fact that we ignore children and you don't know what they are undergoing. They have got no one to talk to. What we are interested in is just getting the results, and that's all. The teachers are demanding, the parents are demanding, and now this child is squished. We must be close. Let me tell you, Miriam, if you want to know what happens to the school, do you know what you do? Be friend with your son. He will give you all the information which you will relay back to school. They can tell you, oh, this one we did this, we can do this, we have been doing this is what this other student done, which they cannot report. But once they give you that kind of information, this is what they undergo in schools, Miriam, then we can be able to arrest this. Do you know, Miriam, there's the devil worship in our schools? Do you know there's gayism in our schools? Do you know there's lesbianism in our schools? So this is an indicator. The research is there, which has been done. These teachers, they have even, let me tell you, Miriam, you know, these days they have come with the remedial fee. Who is supposed to be paying for the days we lost during the COVID, Miriam? Is it the parent? Were teachers not paid? So from where I sit, Miriam, let me not just blame one side. Here is I can't not blame the children. I can't blame the students because the other two stones have failed them. We need to give our students a hearing here. We must be able to create a conducive environment, Miriam, where they confide. They are also human beings. Let me tell you, Miriam. And don't show with this constitution we have, Miriam. It gave students some rights. And that's why we need to define our society. This is how we want to do it. You ban the school, and when you ban the school, nothing happens. Let me interest you, Miriam, one of the research which I did. One of the students had banned a school, had banned a classroom, Miriam. When he was arrested, he was taken to custody and then prosecuted, Miriam. And you know what they will tell other students, that even if I ban the school, my dad will beat it. Then the father comes very foolishly, he tells the court that he can build the class. The court was very clever enough. He said, okay, let me just have a mention on this case on this particular day. And you can come back and report what you have done. And foolishly, this parent went and built the class. Okay, and the court was able to say, now this student is not a problem. He does not belong to this school. And unless you build your own school, this is a case of approved school. So Miriam, parents, teachers, and the society, let us help our students, Miriam, because they learn from what they see from us.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Thank you so much for that perspective. Sharon Gitonga, what do you think is going on in especially the boarding school? And usually from the previous incidences that have happened, it comes during the second term. So I don't know what's really going on. What do you think is going on? Who is failing? Who is slipping on their part?
Thank you very much, Miriam. And maybe I'll start by saying it's quite unfortunate that even as they actually live in a country where there are no clear measures to mitigate against, these fires and disasters. That's why you see public buildings and it's, public buildings really need to be fitted with fire alarm systems, emergency exits, and equipments such as fire extinguishers, and even having instructions clearly on how to operate them. Some have, but I would, categorically say that they are not even functionable. And even if they are functionable, there's no the students, or rather they've not actually been taught on how to how to handle these in case of these fires. And it's quite unfortunate that our children in schools have to face such problems. But apart from all that, I think the major the elephant in the room is the cumbersome school calendar, whereby there's so much pressure that has been piled for teachers to cover syllabus within a specific period of time, and the same pressure trickles down to the students to be at sync with the curriculum. But I actually understand. I don't understand why there's so much rush to finish up to clear this calendar, because the time that is lost will never be recovered. Mm-hmm. So I think it's upon the Ministry of Education plus other stakeholders to look into this system once again, because otherwise there's not going to be beneficiary to our children in future. I was just trying to do an analysis, and I think within less than 24 hours we've actually had cases of more than 10 schools being burnt down. So I think the elephant in the room is the pressure to actually finish up the calendar, because you understand that we have actually had 2 years, academic years within an year. If your child was in Form 1 in January, now they're actually in Form 2. So the education system is actually pushing our children too much, and there has to be there has to be a dialogue between the Ministry of Education and all relevant stakeholders, because time wasted is never recovered. The time that has been wasted, let's move into a new system, and let's not focus on the time that we already lost during the COVID-19. Thank you.
And so this is what the School Heads Association said. We've written to the Ministry of Education requesting a break because it's necessary based on the information we're getting from our members, he told the Nation. Mr. Indimuli called for resumption of core curriculum activities such as sports, drama and music, which were suspended when schools reopened, as one of the measures to stop the spread of COVID-19. Samuel Tawish, I don't know what is your take in what is going on, and should we just give in to what the students are demanding for, and also a couple of issues that Professor has brought up there. There could be, pressure being given put on these children to perform by their parents and also their teachers, because we know how competitive our education system is right now.
Thank you so much, Miriam, and thank you for my colleague panelists for the remarks that you've made. I want to agree totally with the sentiments that have been brought forth by my colleague panelists, except to add a few points, Miriam. One is that this is not the first time ever we are having an exam in this country or anywhere in the world. There has always been exam, Miriam, and in fact, all of us who are in this panel also went through the same process or procedure in life. At least we have had times when we've had these exams, we've had those pressures, but maybe we never resorted to what these students are resorting to. To say it is because of the pressure or the coming examination, that is why maybe the students resorting to the unrest that you are witnessing in school, Miriam, may not be authentic, really. Why am I saying so? Because even in the past, without this pressure, Miriam, we all understand that we've always had this school unrest. There has been burning of schools, there's been protest, there's been so many ugly incidences taking place in our learning institutions, and not necessarily.
Apologies, you seem to have suffered a bit of a technical hitch from Tawish's side. Tawish, I don't know if you can hear me.
As he comes back,
yes.
There's a point is developing, and they're saying that even in our time, Miriam, in our time, Miriam, we used to have a Kasmo radio, which we listen, and there were no the kind of the social media. They can see TV. They can see. Yes. You know that one school can ban a school, and then the rest can do it with no apparent reason. They will say that we have been left behind. So what I want to agree with what Sharon has said, that we need to be close to our students so that we understand. That's what I'm trying to say, Miriam.
So there are underlying issues.
There are underlying core issues, Miriam.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to pay attention to that. Prof, my son is in boarding school right now. Where he is safe. I'm not even worried. And I think when you were giving the example of the boy who, part of the people who banned the school, and the parent said he's going to build a school. Where my son is, he knows we will not tolerate that. So if we are called to school because he was part of a problem, he knows he will be in trouble. So he behaves. It is that simple.
Miriam,
that simple. Miriam, do you know there are some parents who can sue you and they will get orders and they will bring their son to school, Miriam? I'm trying today, it's a concerted effort.
From both. But what I'm telling you is my son understands. If I'm called to school because you have any case of indiscipline, we are going to have a problem. So he understands that very well. So he behaves. All right. So if you could play our part, and we talk and I hear him, and the way you said he comes from school, he tells me, this happened. And if it's something that requires me to call the school, I will do that. So I do my part as a parent and make sure that I liaise with the school. So he's safe. I'm not worried about him where he is, because I know that environment has created a healthy environment for children, so they're able to communicate. We do all that. So, but should I be called? we'll have a problem. And he understands that. It's very clear. So that's it. Sharon, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was trying to insist on my point about pressure, and I think 2 weeks ago I attended one of the parents' meeting where our last sibling is actually in Maryhill here in Thika, and I think when the results were actually read, parents were so frustrated, but the principals were so keen to actually say, please take time, sit down, and talk to your daughter before you start start pointing fingers and actually condemning them to why they've actually failed, because you realize the moment you actually talk to them, they open up. There's so much pressure in school, and it's high time we actually really need to relook into some of these things. For some reason I feel like Matiang'i would have, or Anatha Matiang'i would have actually solved these, because from where I sit, I honestly don't think Magoha is actually doing the most. That is just my opinion. Thank you.
Okay.
If you look at the kind of pressure that he's actually been giving and the kind of chest stamping, I find him quite so ignorant. I don't know. That is just my personal opinion.
All right.
He's not in touch with the reality.
With the reality. He's aloof. Okay. So now let's look at something else that Matiang'i, now that you brought him in, said yesterday. And then we go to Jubilee wanting to kick the rebels out. I think we'll start with the rebel in chief, that is the deputy president. But before we get to that, Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i has directed security officers to protect women from violence and harassment during campaigns. He asked all organs to ensure safety of female candidates and urged aspirants to exercise political maturity ahead of the 2022 polls. From the assistant chiefs to regional commissioners, our job is to provide security. Our intention as a government is to ensure the next elections are more stable than all previous polls. We will focus on security of female candidates who have previously been victims of gender-based violence during campaigns, Dr. Matiang'i said. Prof, what do you make of that?
Miriam, I want to agree with my sister Sharon that where can we have a few of Matiang'is and the Rate Michukis? 10 of them, and this country will be okay, Miriam, because they implement the law, Miriam. You know, Miriam, I have been an actor in the politics of this country, Miriam. It is not easy, Miriam, especially when it comes to our sisters who are contesting, Miriam. And Miriam, what you want to do, Miriam, if you assert is measured on how you protect the vulnerable. There is no, how do you protect someone who can protect himself, Miriam? You know that. So Miriam, on this, Miriam, is what we want to ensure that if our women, our ladies, our sisters, our mothers, our aunties, that if they can get rebel growing environment, Miriam, for them to advance their agenda, Miriam, it's a good thing. It's a good thing, Miriam. You know, during election, Miriam, all manner of things takes place, Miriam. There's thuggery organism taking place, Miriam. So on this now, coming very candid, Miriam, to ensure that there is security. And Miriam, do you know what? This certainly one way of us working towards that gender rule. That if we can protect our women so that they can be able to participate, that they are not harassed, Miriam. Do you know that even Miriam during the election, Miriam, that even the husbands or the male counterparts, Miriam, they harass women. So on this, Miriam, if they can be able to get security, Miriam, is one way of making the ground level, Miriam, and we can be able to achieve. Do you know even some of the campaigns, Miriam, we do it even the wee hours of the night. Mm-hmm. Some people do it 2 a.m. in the night, 3 p.m. in the night. Now, suppose there's a female candidate, Miriam, if she doesn't have security, do you think she can be able to do that?
She can't.
So on this, Miriam, let us give them the opportunity so that they can be able to set their agenda, and then, Miriam, that we can know who they are so that they can be elected. That's a good thing. That's a good commitment from the Minister for Internal Security.
All right, very well. Sharon? Why do you think this singled out this issue of aspiring women politicians and the unfair, I think, playing field he was trying to put forth?
Okay, thank you very much. And indeed, I actually tend to applaud what Professor Jared has talked about, especially when you see such good initiatives being launched, especially at this time where you realize security is actually of paramount. And I would love to actually. I think some days ago, if not months ago, I saw Matiang'i actually launch an institution called Polycare that is actually meant to champion, I think, issues that women actually face when you talk about GBV and, all that women actually face. So I think this is actually quite a very good initiative, and this country actually need such leaders of leaders of posterity, leaders who actually have interest of a sincere interest of people at heart. So for me, I think this is actually going to go a long way, and with such I actually would I think we actually headed to the right direction. But when you talk about the 2/3 gender rule, it's a good thing, but for some reason I feel like women politicians sometimes tend to go astray with the cultures, and you saw a while back with what happened with Tobiko, with Paris Tobiko, whereby she went ahead to allow the deputy president to actually hold a rally in their own ground without the significant go ahead from the significant other. So also women leaders, even as we aspire to get into the political space, people need not to lose their culture. People need to be also let the women also be at par with their significant others. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't know if Samuel Tawish, you're back. Okay, Tawish suffered a bit of a technical hitch earlier, and so when he'll be able to come back, we will have him, and we will continue with these conversations. Now, Uhuru's party set to kick out rebels and those coalition deal with Raila. President Kenyatta's Jubilee Party will hold its National Delegates Conference, NDC, at the end of the month. The one Ruto's camp has been asking for the last 2-3 years, I think. When the political breakup between the president and his deputy, William Ruto, is expected to happen, the ODM leader, Raila Odinga, ushered in as the new partner. The NDC, according to senior party officials who spoke to the nation after yesterday's meeting of the party's top organ, the National Management Committee and its parliamentary leadership, is expected to kick out renegade members from party positions and ratify the coalition between Jubilee and ODM. The DP, who is the Jubilee Party deputy leader, is expected to be shown the door following his association with UDA, on whose ticket he plans to contest for the presidency in next year's election. It is in the constitution that those who do not subscribe to party policies are let go. That should concern you as much as it concerns us. The NDC is the highest party organ, and whatever it decides prevails, Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju said yesterday. I know kicking out DP and his lieutenants is something that has been, it is something that Jubilee has not had, the guts to do. Are we likely to see this happen in the next meeting, as according to the story that I'm reading to you this morning, Professor?
Yeah, Miriam, let me just start from the point that families have got rules and regulations, Miriam. And you heard what Sharona said about Tobiko, the MP said, how do you just go and bring somebody to your home, Miriam, and you ignore the other? Surely. How do you look at that? Do you believe in a family, or you believe in that politics, Miriam? Miriam, the family institution comes first. I am not attacking you, Sharon. I'm using it as an example to move into a next level that institutions and organizations have got rules, Miriam. Miriam, when I look at the development and the growth of democracy in this country, I sympathize, Miriam. I don't know whether it's me who don't... If we have said we are a democracy, can't we play by rules of democracy? Miriam, it is either, and that's why sometimes, Miriam, I am so much indebted to the first vice president of this country, the late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. His politics shaped me. He was a true politician, Miriam. You cannot be seen wearing yellow t-shirts, Miriam, articulating the policies of another party, Miriam, opposing the party which took you to parliament, Miriam, and then you still insist, even the political parties act, Miriam, it is very clear, Miriam, very clear. Nobody is going to be kicked out, Miriam, because people have kicked themselves out, Miriam. We are going to take stock and say who is with us and not with us, Miriam, so that we see their fate, Miriam. Do you want to say, Miriam, that the deputy president will be kicked out, Miriam, when you have been seeing even himself, Miriam? Very interesting, Miriam. The official resident of the deputy president in this country. What are the colors of Jubilee, Miriam? Red. What are the colors of the national of our national flag, Miriam? It is red, white, green, and black. I know you are not blind. Even the blind people have got their own ways on how they see. Because at least even if they don't see Miriam, they understand the language of love and kindness. They understand the language of obedience and honesty, Miriam. So they are ahead of us, Miriam. They know how to be royal and how to disobey, even if Miriam, they don't see Miriam. A whole official resident of the deputy president of this country, Miriam, being turned into yellow, into colors of another party, Miriam, and you insist to be a deputy president in this country. And even the members of parliament we were discussing yesterday who don't even attend, who attend parliament, they are always Miriam there. I had given the recommendation of Miriam. I wish those people could listen to me and pay for the advice I give you, even if they ignore Miriam. Miriam, before you contest for any political party, Miriam, you must be nominated by a political party. And if you find, no, I'm not interested to be in a political party, Miriam, you go independent, whereby you can do other things and nobody will ask you, Miriam. But you must apply the laws of the land and what? And the constitution, Miriam. Miriam, you sign a code of conduct. Hata siku moja my brother Tori was asking hii chama gani hata ina sheria ina rules when we were laying mama Anna to rest. Ukuuliza kiuliza. Ati chama gani ina hata Miriam, even in your welfare, you know, if you become notorious, you don't pay your subscription, Miriam. You forfeit being a member of that welfare association, Miriam. I want to go to that place, Miriam, and tell you that these people have violated the constitution of Jubilee. They have violated the code of conduct, Miriam, which they signed on how. Miriam, did you see the other day they were giving a threat that they will stop the deductions, and I dared them to stop. Did they stop? You cannot, Miriam, because that's the party. And if you are not interested, you resign. You go and seek. This is what the Prime Minister did in 1994 when they could not be able to move on with the late Kijana Wamaru for Kenya, Miriam. When he found it unattainable, Miriam, he resigned and he went and contested the by-election through a National Development Party, NDP, the tractor. And he won. That is the hygiene of democracy, Miriam. We want to teach our children, Miriam. What do our children learn in school when they learn about civic education, Miriam? You are just like, you walk like a duck. Miriam, I wish that the end of November comes very fast. And imagine, Miriam, the National Delegate Council of a political party is the supreme organ, Miriam. Not even the Supreme Court of this country can interfere with the regulations and the rules you have put in place. They are aware it is coming, Miriam. And I'm telling you, the day they will sit, I don't know whether they will be Kasarani, wherever they will sit, Miriam, the deputy president loses his seat. Because if the party which sponsored you, which gave you an opportunity, Miriam, does not trust you, Miriam, and even if, which court is going to help you, Miriam? And Miriam, you say that you say, oh, Huda is one of our coalition partner. We have signed an agreement. Miriam, if I sign an agreement with you that we are going to do it, and you find me pitching your son every other day, you can say, guys, man, let that agreement let us not consider. Go and do your things in your home, and I do mine, Miriam. So watch this space, Miriam. We have reached the final step, Miriam, and the deputy president, he knows by the end of November, he will not be the deputy, but leader of Jubilee, and thus he loses the authenticity of being the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you so much. And also the stories on page 5 of the Standard newspaper. Samuel Tawish, welcome back. Now, Jubilee Party plans to convene its National Delegates Conference to officially kick out Deputy President William Ruto. The party is seeking to revoke Ruto's membership and consequently throw him out as the deputy party leaders. Others targeted in the escalating war between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy are more than 100 elected leaders associated with the United Democratic Alliance. Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju yesterday said they were in consultations with the president to agree on a date for a top party organ meeting. Sources said the NDC could be held this month. The party will have to issue a 21-day notice before the meeting. Samuel Tawish, how do you think this meeting will pan out, and are we likely to see Jubilee finally releasing DP of his duties that he really has not been performing? And since the last time they told him not to go to the headquarters, I've not seen him there.
Thank you so much, Miriam, for that question. And I think it was just basic knowledge that Deputy President William Ruto had to heed into that directive that he should not actually find himself, even the close associate really, at the Jubilee Party headquarters in Pangani. Because again, Miriam, it is in the public domain, it is in the open that Deputy President William Ruto and his allies have been propagating and promoting ideals of a different party in the name of UDA against a party that sponsored them into the elective positions that they are serving currently, enjoying all the privileges, enjoying the salaries. And it is only prudent enough that even without the sanctions or, of course, actions being taken by Jubilee Party, it would have been wise for Deputy President William Ruto, as a matter of responsibility, really even to quit Jubilee officially and concentrate in building his newfound home in the name of UDA. It is the height of hypocrisy, really, Miriam, for Deputy President William Ruto and other MPs, all politicians who have been elected on Jubilee Party or any other party, really to have decided to shift focus, attention, and energy to another party, while still, of course, clinging into the party that they were elected into office. Look unto Aisha Juma as we speak today. Look unto Anne Waiguru from Kirinyaga County, and so many of the leaders, including Deputy President William Ruto himself, who is elected as the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, and also the Deputy Party Leader of the Jubilee Party. So in essence, I think, Miriam, it was long overdue that the NDC should have been convened, and this action should have been taken long ago. But I think because, matters party, things have to be done in a strategic way. That is why Jubilee Party has had to wait up until now, before now they can call for that before they call for the National Management Committee, which of course took place yesterday, now paving the way for the NDC, the National Delegates Conference, which will now be endorsing, of course, the official removal from office as Deputy Party Leader of William Ruto. And maybe, who knows, the other close allies who are equally propagating the ideals of the UDA party as we speak today. Miriam, I submit.
Okay, thank you. But Garissa Township Member of Parliament Aden Duale scoffed at the schemes targeting leaders allied to Ruto, terming them tired, threats and blackmail. Duale said they were not interested in what is happening in Jubilee since they have moved to UDA and are focused on building it into a national party. So that is just good reason enough. I mean, Jubilee is just trying to make it easier for them. If they're not concerned in what is happening in Jubilee, then they should be out. Sharon.
Thank you very much, Miriam, and my colleague panelists for your submissions. And I largely agree that, this has actually been long overdue. Looking at how the Deputy President has actually continuously sabotaged the party and continued to popularize a party and actually champion it, that actually is actually which is actually contrary to what the constitution says, and I think for the deputy president, the rain started beating him all after the handshake, which we would actually all agree that this has actually enhanced peace and stability that we are actually largely enjoying now. So for me, I agree that the deputy president is actually a stumbling block, and he has actually no value. He's actually has no value addition when it to Jubilee, and he should just not leave him. He should not just leave alone, but live with all his fellow plunderers and all his political allies. So that they can actually give room for more coalition parties. He has shown and he has actually proven to be defiant by continuously sabotaging the same Jubilee. Let him resign. These are because now he has actually, it's like he's actually refused to resign. I think the constitution orders that if he doesn't actually resign, then he can actually, it can actually be, removed. So that is what is actually going to take place. And I feel like actually what the deputy president has been doing is actually, I would call it politics of dishonesty. And I think the major problem that we have with most of our leaders and most of our politicians is they want to get their cake and eat. And eat it at the same time. So the timing is ideal, and I agree. It's high time that he should actually resign, and if anything, he should actually go through a by-election process. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So you cannot have your cake and eat it, but our politicians have been having all the cakes and eating all of them. They just log into a session, and then they log out, so they'll get their cake at the end of the day and still go and do politics at the expense of discussing the issues that affect
the end of it at expense of our tax money.
We just have majority. It's just crooks in that house. Quite unfortunate. Anyway, page 8 of the Standard newspaper. Court saves Koome from locking horns with executive over judges. Now, the Court of Appeal yesterday averted a possible confrontation between the executive and the judiciary when it temporarily barred Chief Justice Martha Koome from swearing in the 6 judges who were rejected by the president. The court effectively saved the CJ from the dilemma of either defying a court order or President Uhuru Kenyatta. The court granted Attorney General Kihara Kariuki's request for a stay order pending a hearing of the case. Now, the appellate court said it will issue a detailed ruling on the matter in 2 weeks. Last month, the High Court gave President Kenyatta 14 days to appoint 6 judges he left out of the June appointments. Justice James Wakiaga, George Dulu, William Musyoka declared that should the president disobey the order, the 6 judges would be deemed formally appointed and the CJ would organize their swearing in. So in other words, they just set up the CJ there. Now, the case was filed by Katiba Institute seeking to compel the head of state to appoint the 6 judges. In June, Uhuru appointed 34 of the 41 nominees presented by the Judicial Service Commission. He left out High Court judges Joel Ngugi, Chojo Dunga, Agri Muchelule, and Weldon Koril, alongside Registrar of High Court Judith Omangi and Chief Magistrate Evans Makori. Ngugi, Dunga, Muchelule, and Koril were recommended for appointment of the Court of Appeal, while Omangi and Makori were nominated to the Environment and Lands Court. And we know how that went. So, of course, Uhuru declared that he would not appoint the judges over integrity issues. It is not open to me to turn a blind eye to reports of a state or organs. As long as I serve as president, I will choose the right over the convenient. I will choose the hard over the easy, and I'm not doing this for myself, but for the people of Kenya and prosperity. And we know how that has played out. But now what was Kenyans were waiting to see how this was going to play out. Apparently now that crisis has been put on hold, I think postponed, because at the end of the day we must get to the end of this matter. But at this point, Professor, can President Uhuru Kenyatta, just have a sign of relief, just for now?
Miriam, as a sign of relief from what? From an irregularity? Was the ruling of the judges grounded in any law, in any statute, Miriam, in our constitution, Miriam? I knew very well, even if the apparent court could have done nothing, the Chief Justice, I know she understands the law. She could have not proceeded, she could have not stooped that low, Miriam, to do things which is of active with Miriam. Miriam, let me just have this to say, Miriam. President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is the head of government and the head of state. He is the chief of commander of the armed forces of the Republic of Kenya, Miriam. So when you handle Miriam, let that one not be out of your mind, Miriam. The person, Miriam, who the intelligence of this country, and come on, I wish people would be able to realize what the intelligence means of any country, is the president. The president knows, Miriam, that I'm debating here now. The president knows what I'm saying. The president knows what kind of listen, and they will get a brief, Miriam, even if he's not listening. He's in Scotland attending COP16, but he will say what was that professor and Tawish and Sharon and Miriam was saying. Mm-hmm. What do I want to say, Miriam? Do we have a country to learn, Miriam? Miriam, sometimes when people do things, I don't know what to say, Miriam. The president has said, Miriam, yes, you have given me 41 churches, Miriam. 34 churches, I don't have an issue. But on these 6, Miriam, I have this and this and this and this. And Miriam, Miriam, Paul was asking the Galatians, for those who read the Bible, who bewitched them, Miriam? Who bewitched the people of this country in the names of Katiba Institute, Miriam? See the kind of the myriad challenges this country is facing. That the people are so much concerned that you want now to humiliate, and you say that our president cannot follow the law. When he has said, Miriam, let me tell you, Miriam, even if you see President Uhuru ni Baba wa Taifa, even if you know Baba is Baba is a nickname, but Baba wa Taifa ni Uhuru Kenyatta by virtue of his office, Miriam. If something happens, Miriam, and even the other day I saw a clip our sisters in Saudi Arabia crying how they are being mistreated, Miriam, literally crying and saying, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, our president, are you seeing how we are suffering, Miriam? This is the kind of father I'm talking about. He has gotten information, Miriam, and intelligence information, and I have no reason to doubt, Miriam, that one of the churches RSS females in the judiciary, Miriam. Do you want him to ignore? And why should the Judicial Service Commission, Miriam, ignore? He gets the information that, Miriam, that one of the charges, Miriam, has handled the cases of the terrorism, Miriam, and see how the terrorists has caused problem in this country and around the globe, Miriam. Then you expect the president to ignore? And I gave a recommendation, Miriam, let me just hear this one from me. The 2 speakers of the National Assembly, they are not independent. The Chief Justice is not independent. The President is not independent. We are interdependent, Miriam. They can sit Miriam down, Miriam, and do a consultation, Miriam, and have an engagement and have a conversation, Miriam. And that's why with the Chief Justice, when she was being interviewed, Miriam, she said she will only pick a call and discuss with the President on matters to do with administration of justice in this country. That is exactly what she did, and that's why, Miriam, now we are having the services of the 34 churches, Miriam, dispensing justice to this country, Miriam. Do you know the Court of Appeal was becoming to a rainbow? It was not properly constituted, Miriam. Is it a must lie about life and death if the 6 judges have not been appointed? Can the 3 arms of the government, Miriam, discuss? And then they said, for the public, the law sometimes, Miriam, it is terrible. If it says now you have to appoint and then we start that process, Miriam, and that's why I said, Miriam, to those who are advising the president, the Solicitor General and the Attorney General, whom I know is a fine judge, Miriam. I've been before him and I know he's a thorough judge, Miriam. Let me tell you for one. He's never malicious, Miriam. He listens very well. He's a balanced judge, Miriam. Why can't they advise the president on how we walk out of this thing? Because they advise the president, Miriam. If this, Miriam, that to be in tandem with the constitution we have passed, Miriam, if it says that he has to nominate Miriam to appoint them, so be it, so that we start the process of removal from the office because we have got the procedure. Miriam, I think that's what a civil society does. We know that you just go and you give orders. Look, for example, Miriam, what happened in Eldoret, I don't know where time will allow for us to discuss. You just go and give an extension that the IPC go and continue recruiting, and IPC is telling you, we do not have funds. Where are they going to have funds to pay for those people, Miriam? And the chairman for budget in Parliament, Kanini Kega, I say they don't have funds. Maybe perhaps in the final one, which is coming here, they can be able to allocate money. And then you find a charge that you have issued. Miriam, do they live in Kenya? Let me just for the sake of the other panelists, Miriam, right. But this is not well that we need to fight or rather than backstabbing each other, Miriam. The three arms of the government should work in harmony in taking this country forward.
For the better good of Kenyans. Okay, now according to Law Society of Kenya, President Nelson Havi, defying the High Court ruling will be a violation of the Constitution on the part of the President on top of the many court orders he has disobeyed. In my view, the decision was a major test on Chief Justice Martha Koome because the 14 days that were given to the President to swear in the judges lapsed on November 4th, effective November 5th. Koome was obliged to swear in the judges, said Havi. Would she have gone ahead to swear in the judges, she would have complied with the court order and abided by the Constitution. But therein lies another problem. She would have been on coalition course with the executive because this will be the first time this is happening. Did the courts not see that, put such a view into consideration? This was the first time that such a thing was said to happen in this country. And what would that do for the relationship between the executive and the judiciary, which is part of the component of very important arms of the government, for the better good, as Professor there has said, on serving Kenyans. But a confrontation seems to have been averted, at least for now, Sam Oltawish. How long do you think this will last?
Well, Miriam, I hope we do not want to advance an argument or a narrative that we can go ahead and appoint these judges regardless of the questions of integrity, character, and competence that have been raised as reservation by His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta. Because again, I've seen so much attention, and so much attention has been drawn to why these people cannot be sworn into office, and not why exactly the President has raised misgiving about the appointment and why they cannot serve in the superior courts, Miriam. As we speak today, Miriam, in fact, Professor Jared Onyari has put it in black and white, that it is not actually a reprieve to President Uhuru Kenyatta, but methinks, Miriam, it is more of a reprieve to Chief Justice Martha Koome, because again, this was going to put her at loggerheads, not only with President Uhuru Kenyatta or executive, but more so in the legal aspect, Miriam, because it is not tenable. We all understand the procedure with which judges such kind of courts are appointed into office. Article 166, Miriam, is very explicit that these judges are appointed upon recommendation by the Judicial Service Commission and upon official appointment by President Uhuru Kenyatta, or the president that is in office, Miriam. Then how come we will want Chief Justice Martha Koome to go ahead and really appoint and swear in these judges without going through the due process, Miriam? Because again, anyone understanding Kenya being a litigating state, anyone would have gone to court again to petition that these judges are in office illegally. It will not have been tenable or even possible for Chief Justice Martha Koome to go ahead and appoint these judges when we all know that they have not gone through a formal an official process of being appointed into office. But that aside, Miriam, what is important, what is at stake as we speak today? I think the judgment by the Court of Appeal that has given a reprieve for, I think about 9 days, if I'm not very wrong, 9 or so days, now gives an opportunity or a window between or among the arms of government really to sit down and have a moderated kind of approach on the way forward on how we are going to solve this stalemate. Because by the end of the day, we really need these judges, or more of these judges really, to serve in these superior courts. But at the very instance, Miriam, we also need to make sure that we get people of utmost integrity, people of character, and people who are ready and willing really to serve us at in those particular courts, Miriam. So these are matters that should be balanced. Don't we have other people who can serve in those capacities? Don't we have Can't we sit down and ask ourselves, what is it that makes President Uhuru Kenyatta really to have a reservation on the persons of on these 6 individuals that were, of course, recommended by the Judicial Service Commission to be appointed as judges of the Superior Courts, Miriam? So these are matters that we need to go back to the drawing board, and by the end of the day, we must really find a solution, a win-win situation, so that by the end of the day, we do not want to escalate wars and fights between the judiciary and other arms of government, because in the past this has become more of like, more of a tradition that the judiciary is fighting with the executive, the judiciary is fighting with the parliament. We need to have a clear cut line as the constitution envisages, so that by the end of the day, each of these arms of government really delivers as is envisaged and for the good interest of the Republic of Kenya. I submit, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much. At our wish now, Charles Kanjama, an advocate of the High Court, argued that the Constitution contemplated checks and balances between the 3 arms of the government. There is no arm of government that is completely independent. The Constitution has put it that it is the role of the president to appoint judges. So if you now have a mechanism where the judges appoint themselves without the involvement of the executive, you have taken away the checks and balances on the judiciary's part, as said Kanjama. Sharon.
Thank you very much, Miriam, and I strongly agree with all my colleague panelists, whatever all the sentiments that have been, laid. And I agree with Tawish when he talks about a reprieve, not just for the president, but also for, Martha Koome, given that he was actually put between, if I can call it, a rock and a hard place. Whatever ruling that she was meant to give would have actually caused a collision path between the judiciary and the executive, even after the president citing his dissatisfaction over integrity and incompetence issues. In any case, you realize that the president is the chief, just like Professor Jared said, he's actually the chief of the command forces. So and he's still the supreme. He's still in the supreme power in any authority. So let's not just shelf off again against that as a fact. So we need to come up to to get to an amicable solution. And for me, my recommendation would be the 3 heads of government have to secure a meeting all together, sit down and iron out issues and find a way forward. If it's either to bring in a new elect new judges who do not have issues with integrity and issues with incompetence, because you realize that judges are very critical, especially right now where we are towards everyone wants access to justice. When you look at the national anthem, it actually says let justice be our shield and defender. So this is quite critical. We need everyone needs access to justice, and as we are actually towards championing the fight against corruption. So we need these judges, and it is actually incumbent upon the 3 arms of the government to sit down and iron out issues to find an amicable solution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. There's a story here. I want to hear your comments very quickly. Our time has nearly coming to an end. DP allies respond to the thief remark. MPs allied to Deputy President William Ruto have challenged President Kenyatta to stop shadowboxing and have the thieves he doesn't want elected to office prosecuted. President Kenyatta last Friday in Ruiru town warned Kenyans against electing thieves who will plunder the country and water down gains his administration and that of his predecessor Mwai Kibaki have made. But yesterday, the DP's allies reading on the presumed preference by the president to his deputy or others challenged the head of state to unmask those he had in mind. President Kenyatta should tell us if he knows of any corrupt individual who wants to inherit his seat next year. Let him reveal the identity of that person, because we can't live with generalities and guesswork. In other words, these thieves, why are they still walking scot-free in the streets, President Kenyatta? Can they not be arrested with that evidence that perhaps is there? Prof, I think you've been saying something maybe similar to that.
Yes, Miriam. The Girids are always afraid. I listen very carefully to the president, although I understand bits of Kikuyu. He didn't name anybody. We have got almost more than 4-5 presidential candidates. We have got Baba. We have got Musalia Mudavadi. We have got Kalonzo. We have got Wetangula. We have got Gideon Moi. We have got William Ruto, the deputy president for the Republic of Kenya, and many more. And many. We have got Mukisa Kitui Miriam. How dare someone come and say that he was dividing the deputy president Miriam? And let me tell you, Miriam, the president is not a street bedrock. It's not. It's just someone walking in the street, Miriam. He is the president of this country, Miriam. He has got intelligence, Miriam. And hear me this: even if he knew that you are the one who has been jumping the other side and you take our animals, he cannot name you. You know that. You know Tawish. If you get an opportunity of jumping the other side, Miriam, I cannot come and say that the Wish has got a team which comes to Kisii and they take our animals. But we are becoming more civilized. There is a way I can tell you, Miriam. So, Miriam, the president was passing a message, Miriam, that he has a rich legacy which he inherited from Mwai Kibaki. And when Kibaki was in office, people said all manner of things, Miriam. But of today, as a human nature, they appreciate what the kind of foundation the President Mwai Kibaki gave for this country. You cannot erase, you cannot delete. It will remain in the annals of history, Miriam. There is no doubt, Miriam, that the President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, as religiously, Miriam, midwifed the foundation which Mwai Kibaki gave for this country, Miriam. We have got the standard gauge, Miriam. We have got oil in Turkana, Miriam. We have got the Rapsed coming up, Miriam, and many more, Miriam. He was trying to caution Kenyans. As we go for the election, Miriam, next year, Miriam, don't elect someone who has got tendencies of stealing, Miriam. And Miriam, let me not even name. I hope you have got a smartphone. Name who is the most corrupt person in the country, in the Republic of Kenya. Tell me which name will come. And if those who are saying that because if you want to say that has paid that, Miriam. Yes. We have got 47 million Kenyans, Miriam. And you want to tell me there is no another Kenyans whom God has blessed with resources, Miriam, whom he will be carrying in a bag and the sacks going to the churches, Miriam? You want to tell us you are very kind, Miriam? Why was somebody started getting wealth? And sometimes there's some of the things someone says, oh, I helped someone to become the prime minister. Tell us what you did when he gave you the office of the minister for agriculture then. What happened? The cereal board. The fake fertilizers, Miriam, was important in this country. That is why the rights of Waruka are in. There is money which is 115 million, Miriam, which we don't know who took it. I'm building a case, Miriam. Tell us what happened. And why you parted with Papa. It is because Papa said that I cannot work with this kind of person. I am fighting corruption and my own minister whom I have appointed from office. Do you remember Papa wanted to sack him? I hope you can remember Miriam very well. Together with Ongera, and then he said you cannot be able to sack. Then let us come. You have helped Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta to be a president. Fine, you are a good kingmaker. Go and make yourself. Because you know how to make people the president. Tell us what has happened. Why is it in the first term of 2013 you made money? And why are you not making money after the handshake? Let the truth be told, and that's why someone is so bitter. How can you not be bitter, Miriam, to someone who has just come and rock the tap, and when you open, there's no water coming? So Miriam, my president, did not name anybody as a thief. But people have come out forcing the president to name. And if you force us to name, we have named. Miriam, people have quoted several verses in the Bible. Some of these politicians, God, as if you are the only ones who has got God. Even criminals and even thieves, they also pray. But I have not heard anybody quoting Zacchaeus in the Bible, Zacchaeus in the Bible, Miriam, saying, what I have taken to the people, I will return 4 times. And then you mend your ways with God. That's when God will hear some prayers. There are some prayers which are detested with the ears of God. He detests them, Miriam. So from my point, I say that nobody was named, but if you want to know who is corrupt in this country, Google and you get that name. It is not me who put it from there, who put it there. Go and question them. I submit.
Very well. Professor, so the allies of Deputy President, including Aiden Duale, they are saying that the President should tell us if he knows any corrupt individual who wants to inherit his seat next year after President Uhuru Kenyatta said last week, and he's been saying this numerous times before, that he's not planning to leave the country in the hands of a thief. So they're asking the President, why can't you, with the evidence that you have of maybe this person that are stolen from Kenyans, just name this person and maybe perhaps have this person prosecuted? Sharon?
Thank you very much, Miriam, for that question. And I agree with, what Professor Jared has said. I also happened to listen to that clip, and there's nowhere where I had, the president directly mentioning that there's a specific thief, or rather calling the deputy president a thief. But the big question is why are then the UDA supporters actually afraid if they are actually not guilty? You should not be afraid if you're not guilty. But you see, they say when it rains it pours. Rumor and propaganda has it that the deputy president has actually a hand in so many scandals, and where there's smoke there's fire. So Professor has actually alluded to the fact that when you actually go to Google and check who is the most corrupt person, it's actually in the green light. So I think now the president has actually spoken. It's high time, we see heads roll, from the EACC to the DPP to all this year. All heads must start rolling. And for the deputy president, he should actually start by being remorseful if he really wants to, contend for the presidential bid. Because, one thing is that people never forget. And even if people forget, the shadow always, it will always leave the past. So let him actually start, returning, like what Professor Jared Onyari has said. He has actually quoted all the scriptures, but he has never quoted where, Zaki has actually returned all that he had stolen from people. Because it is actually in the limelight. Let him start, by actually returning everything that he has stolen, and denouncing corruption, which the president is actually at the forefront, trying to fight, trying to champion against the fight of corruption. If anything, we've not even had him in any, giving us or actually cautioning us to how he actually intends to fight corruption. He's not. We've actually not had him talk about any policy that is going to put fight the fight of corruption. If anything, he just says he actually does not believe that corruption can actually compromise the service delivery of the people. So let him stop defending corruption, and also let him also not stop giving solace to all the plunderers in UDA who have actually been cited of corruption and integrity issues, and I think so much I can actually say, but with the interest of time, I think what I can say is that the president has spoken, and now it's about time the relevant bodies start rolling and get into an arena of action. Let's quit empty rhetorics and bring these people and these culprits on board, because we know them. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, Sharon, I hear you. Now, since 2018, the president has ratcheted up his anti-graft campaign. He has vowed that the fight on corruption will spare no one, irrespective of status, wealth, power, or political clout and connections. But some of DP Ruto's allies have argued that the timing of the war on graft is a ploy to contain him and undermine his bid to succeed President Kenyatta. More than 30 key allies of the DP are facing possible jail time in a renewed clampdown on corruption that risks denting his public image. So they're saying the timing on this fight against corruption is strong. Samuel Tawish, is there a right time to fight corruption? Is there a particular
Indeed,
time
Miriam,
that should be set aside?
Indeed, Miriam, any time is the right time really to fight corruption. This is a very noble cause that all of us really must support if we want to secure the future generation and to secure this country. Miriam, like Professor Jared Onyari has said, I like the fact that we share almost a similar thought, that the guilty are always afraid. And you ask yourself, how come that Deputy President William Ruto and the camp always get uncomfortable at the mention of corruption or the fight against corruption in the country? This is not the first time President Uhuru Kenyatta has come out openly to rebuke people who are actually stealing from the public coffers. This is not the first time President Uhuru Kenyatta has said is not going to actually hand over power to quote-unquote a thief. And how Deputy President William Ruto and allies conclude that it is them the president is referring leaves a lot to be desired. Because again, I've never seen President Uhuru Kenyatta directly come out and say or point fingers at his deputy, unless then someone wants to tell us that they are the people who are corrupt, that they are the corrupt that the president is referring to, then we have to conclude that Deputy President William Ruto has finally owned up or confessed that is the corrupt that the president has been referring to. We know that the Deputy President has all along been crusading around that he has a solid track record. Indeed, we want to agree. You may have a track record. The question is it a negative or a positive record? And as we all understand, he's been out here consistently fighting President Uhuru Kenyatta on the fight against corruption, fighting President Uhuru Kenyatta on the unity of purpose. He's been fighting the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. In any case, Miriam, this may not necessarily be the right person really to take over as the next president of the Republic of Kenya. And that is why President Uhuru Kenyatta has been very keen. He's saying he's serving his second and final term in office. He may not need any position elective for that matter, but he should be very keen at least to hand over power to the person who is going to guarantee and safeguard the interest of the people of Kenya, regardless of where they come from, regardless of their political ideology or persuasion, regardless of their ethnicity, Miriam. I think this is something that is laudable. This is something that all politicians of goodwill really should be supporting. As to why Deputy President William Ruto and company are coming out to fight that particular stand by President Uhuru Kenyatta really is something that all of us should be worried about, especially for a person who is actually preparing himself to take over from President Uhuru Kenyatta, assuming he wins next year's general election. So what I want to say in a nutshell, really, Miriam, is that as we head into 2022, it's very important that we are not going to be swayed by the politics of euphoria, by the tribal politics that has always been the norm in this country. We want to see people of integrity, people who have that will and heart to unify the entire country, people who are going to make sure that we stabilize our economy, people who are going to make sure that our young people, more so those who are educated and they do not have jobs, at least can get a job and earn a decent living, Miriam. We do not want our people. You cannot go to school, go to university, and by the end of the day, a whole deputy president, after serving a record 9 years, comes and says the best thing they can offer is a wheelbarrow. I mean, for heaven's sake, this is not something that should be permitted in the 21st century. So to say the least, Miriam, I think this next year's general election really presents Kenyans with an opportunity to be able to sieve good leaders and only allow those who have a good track record, those who have the heart of the who have the interest of the people at heart, to be able to take the mantle from President Uhuru Kenyatta for the leadership of this country. Unless that happens, Miriam, I can tell you we'll continue to gnash our teeth, we'll continue to blame ourselves once more for another 5 years if we make a mistake. So this is a defining moment. The 2022 general election is a defining moment for Kenyans and Kenya. I submit, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, like you've all said there, President Uhuru Kenyatta has made these statements before, but he never really mentions a name. And we've seen how one camp, responds to these claims. And we know there are several other Kenyans who have expressed their desire to inherit President Kenyatta's office next year, including the OKA leaders, Mukisa Kitui, and among others. But there's only one particular section of politicians who get jittery wherever the issue of corruption is brought about. I'm not alluding to anything, but those are just the facts out there. But politics aside, Professor, when we keep, bringing up the issues of corruption and it's not only President Uhuru Kenyatta who says this, but also other leaders, attacking other leaders on, on corruption and all that. But at the end of the day, if we keep insisting these people are corrupt and still they're holding, public offices and still we cannot produce the evidence and take them to court, are we cheapening the war against corruption? Is it losing its,
Miriam, if I quote the former director for Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission, the retired Chief Justice, the retired Justice Haron Dingera. Miriam, he did say that corruption is a dragon. And he said corruption fights back. Miriam, corruption is not being perpetuated by Tawis or Sharon. These are people who have stolen billions and billions of shillings for this country, Miriam. They can take you round, Miriam. And when they have been arrested, Miriam, do you see the kind of the pattern of lawyers who come to court, Miriam? With an arithmetic goal to secure you a bail, and then you will never hear of the case. So it is such a... Miriam, see what people are doing to the Director for Public Prosecution, Miriam. Is it that he has to better mind, Miriam, that we are having a pattern of petitions, Miriam, coming in? Are you trying to say? So what I'm trying to say is that we are not chickening out, Miriam, corruption fights back, Miriam. I know, Miriam, let me tell you for one. I know you have got this, it is being found among women. You can say, that's the quality of intuition. You can say, I don't like Sharon, and you have got no excuse. You don't have any reason why you don't like her, but you say, I don't like this girl. I don't like the wish.
So you're calling us crazy, Professor.
No. That's a gift which God gave you. I can tell you.
Or the intuition.
My wife, or a wife can tell her husband,
we feel ways
I
about
don't like the company you keep.
Yes. And she turns out to be right.
And then because you use the masculinity and you want to say, no, don't interfere with my friend. You say, okay, control with your friend. 3 years down or 5 years down the lane, this guy messes you up. You come home, you are not talking about, and then when you are asking, he tells you, you told me, I wish I listened to you. What I'm trying to say is that we have got some feelings, Miriam, that some people in this country are corrupt. And we know who they are. But Miriam, the most unfortunate thing is that we don't have evidence. It is either they destroy Miriam. Look at the Kemsa case, Miriam, COVID money. Has anybody been taken to court? Was money not lost, Miriam? When the old president of the country, Miriam, you should be able to be in the shoes of the president. When he tells you 2 billion things is being stolen in a day, Miriam, from the Republic of Kenya, he means it, Miriam. But on how to go, Miriam, when you arrested, the director for prosecution is being taken around, the criminal justice, Miriam, the director for criminal investigation, Miriam, it comes to Tobiko, Miriam, it goes to judicial, Miriam, it goes round and round. Miriam, look at all the 4 presidents, all the presidential candidates, Miriam, candidates who want to inherit the seat of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta when he goes home. Tell me any of them, apart from Baba, who has said in passing. Tell me any of them who has talked about corruption, if I'm wrong. Others are talking about on how to reduce taxes, foolish on them. How do you run a country? And they will pay the debts within 2 years, Miriam. Do you know the kind of debts we have and how much we correct? They are telling us that, Miriam, that they will stop running the country and they pay debts, Miriam, and these are the people you are going to erect. The point I'm raising, Miriam, corruption must be detested by all of us. Mm-hmm. People, Kenyan must hate corruption, Miriam. Kenyan must rise up, Miriam, and fight corruption, Miriam. We cannot leave it to one harm. Miriam, as I was sharing with some Chinese, and now I pray that it happen in this country, Miriam, that if you know your brother works as a government officer, as a clerk or as a policeman, man, and he has inherited this kind of wealth, Miriam, his children can go to Bosch schools, Miriam, and they can do this one, you can say, no, my brother has not gotten a jackpot, has not gotten a Rotary, he has not inherited. You go and report him to the government for him to be investigated, Miriam. So, Miriam, you know I am corrupt. There's nothing I'm doing for you. Instead, I come to church, I donate, I go to the village, I give people money because of poverty, Miriam. Now what unaona msee anakuita msee, and then you are happy saying that you are a msee. What a curse of a nation. So corruption cannot be left to one institution, to one individual. Miriam, let me tell you, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has at least trusted Miriam, tried to fight corruption, Miriam. You have seen some of his cabinet ministers, Miriam, the Minister for Finance, Miriam, being arrested and being removed from office, Miriam. We have seen several of the principal secretaries, Miriam, being arrested. And then you want to tell me that this president is not committed, Miriam? We must all of us fight corruption, Miriam. And if you want us to, Google just there, I don't know what it is, Google, how much do Kenya lose in a financial year? More than 680 billion in a year, Miriam. What can that one do? I submit.
Very well, thank you so much. Prof, I feel the same way you feel. Corruption is really robbing us of very vital services, the schools that could be built, the hospitals that, of course, the government is really trying, but, the money being lost, 2 billion per day, this should make us very annoyed as a country. And we should demand for more as Kenyans, because I think we deserve better. But there's something being done on the fight against corruption, but more needs to be done, I think, bottom line. And I think what I heard you say in all what you've said, Professor, is that husbands, listen to your wives. If her instincts tell her that is not the right way to follow, excuse her, we are always right. Majority of the times, okay? That's what Professor said. The story on page 4. As we conclude our show, a voter listing extended as poll agency misses a target by 4.8. Today we'll push the show just until at 10:30 because we'll not have our 11 a.m. show. That's why, Professor, in case you're wondering why we've extended a little bit. Now, Nairobi, Nakuru, Kakamega, and Bungoma counties have registered the highest number of new voters, even as the Electoral Commission fails to meet its target by more than 3/4. The month-long voter listing, marred by apathy, was set to end today, but the High Court yesterday extended the exercise for a week following a petition by a voter. Figures from the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission revealed that by Sunday, the Commission had listed 1.2 million out of the 6 million voters it targeted, and they've given the figures there. So the missing of the target by more than 4 million after the IEBC spent over 1.2 billion Kenya shillings has revealed the extent of Kenyans' disinterest in elections and politics in general. It has also cast a fresh spotlight on IEBC and Kenyans' trust in the electoral process after the Supreme Court found that the Commission bungled the 2017 presidential election, which judges annulled. That is a very interesting perspective there from this story I'm reading on page 4. From what I'm hearing, the writers of this story to be saying is that perhaps Kenyans don't even have confidence in the IEBC as it is currently constituted, that they can deliver a free, a credible and verifiable election. I don't know if that is how you've heard, Sharon Gitonga.
Thank you very much, Miriam. And of course, what IEBC did is what we say: when you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And this is exactly what has actually been, evident in every other day that passes by. There is so much that would have actually been done in the last 4 years that they're actually trying to do right now because they've noticed that time is not on their side. But it's quite unfortunate that people have lost confidence in IEBC. Look at what the other day they did actually in awarding a Greek company to print ballot papers, and I was left in shock. Does it mean that Kenya does not have any company that can actually print the ballot papers? So all that, look at how they have actually missed by elections. Talk about the by elections that happened at Kiagu ward during the election of an MCA, and these actually saw them being challenged at the court. So these when you look at all these things that IEBC has continuously failed us, people have actually lost confidence in them. And we actually were trying to see if actually Kenyans are waiting for the last minute. And there's something that I actually mentioned here, if you can remember, people are actually not waiting for the last minute because it's not their priority. Voting is not their priority, and that is why there has been actually voter apathy. Because if this thing was actually a priority, people would have actually stepped up. Look now, that apparently it's quite unfortunately that the time is up and there's nothing that has been done. And the best that the court can rule is to say that there has to be an extension of 7 days. And I'm wondering if we had a whole 4 weeks to for these voter registration process to be done, and there's nothing that happened. What miracle is going to happen within this 1 week for us to get to a target that, as we look right now, we are not even close to. We're actually at, I think, less than a third of the target that was actually met. There's no miracle that is actually going to happen, and not unless maybe this court is actually going to fund the IEBC, because they've actually cited before that the reason as to why they cannot actually extend the process is because of funding. So unless this court is actually going to fund them, I actually find the ruling, null and void, just like they keep on saying in every ruling. So I think IEBC actually also failed, as neglected, and I would call it by deliberate and by design, for having failed to provide civic education to the people, to the youth who do not actually find a reason as to why they're actually going to vote. Youths are fatigued because they keep on voting the same people who actually who just give us empty promises and end up not delivering. So there's an issue of people are actually fatigued, and that is actually the major reason as to why we are having a lower voter apathy. And unless an action is actually taken, we are actually going to see different results. As I conclude, I was actually looking at an act. I think the county government has actually also failed to actually also provide civic education at the grassroots, because I believe also the county governments have a role to play, especially to providing civic education. And this leaves me wondering, could it be that they're actually derailing to provide civic education because they're afraid if they empower these people, and if these people are actually at par of their rights, they will actually hold them to accountable for what they have actually been failing to do. So there's so much there's so much negligence from where I sit, and from where I sit, there's so much negligence.
And so much deliberate, I think, moves that ensured that this process was not successful. Now, the Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju said young people shunned the registration because they don't feel inspired enough to participate in politics. There is a feeling among the youth that their vote won't count and it is inconsequential. I feel sad about it. People should not feel dejected to a point that they don't want to participate in their civic duty, he told the nation yesterday. Samuel Tawish, are the young people in this country protesting?
Well, indeed, Miriam, it could be a combination of so many factors. One, it could be just simple voter apathy, informed by lack of fulfillment of the promises and pledges that politicians have always been making, more so during or in the run-up to 2017 general election, that makes the voter really find no reason or sense to waste their time to go and register as a voter, or even consequently really vote come next year's general election. That is one factor. A second factor, Miriam, it is also an aspect of whether the projections in terms of numbers by IEBC that they were considering, they were projecting to have about 6 million new voters being enlisted. Who knows? Perhaps they're looking into the population of people who have gotten at the age of 18. But are they sure yet that these people have gotten identity cards? Do they have IDs really to enable them go and register as voters? Those are some of the things that we haven't quite spoken about. If the 6 million targeted voters, new voters that we are speaking about, people who already have their identity cards, then that will be a different case altogether. Another thing, Miriam, which is a very big factor as well, is that our constitution leaves it open. It is a democratic right for one to go and register as a voter, also to go and vote. our constitution does not compel anyone really to participate in such exercises. So therefore, some people find it not necessary really to go and maybe use their time to go and register as voters, or even go and vote when the election date eventually comes, Miriam. So when you look into all these factors and the parameters, you get to conclude why we are having such a low voter turnout in terms of those who are going to register as voters. Another thing I wanted to point out, Miriam, is that we can't quite coerce IEBC to register people who are not ready or willing to go and register. IEBC has put out personnel to ensure that registration of voters takes place. But the Kenyan people have decided they are not going, or they are not going in the numbers that we had anticipated. So what can we do for IEBC? I mean, the registered people already, the registered voters, are those that we can now focus on as we head into 2022 general election. In fact, I was listening to Kanini Kega, is the chairperson of the budgetary committee in the National Assembly, saying that as we speak today, we do not have more allocation, we do not have a budget, and they cannot even have a supplementary budget really to be able to give to IEBC to carry out an extended voter registration beyond today. What does it essentially tell us? That we can now concentrate on sensitizing those people who have already enlisted as voters, so that when we get into 2022, we can have a majority of about 20 million really coming out to cast their ballot. I also understand there will be another phase of this voter registration early next year, if I'm not very wrong, so that the same can be harmonized with the existing voter register. So I do not really see why IEBC should be compelled to extend a voter registration beyond today. Had we been having big numbers in, say, registration centers that really overwhelm the personnel or the machines that IEBC had deployed, then it would have been prudent really to ask IEBC or add more resources for this exercise to be really extended. But given that people have not been turning out, some, of course, registration agents have just been idle in the registration centers, we can just conclude that maybe Kenyans are not so much enthusiastic. They aren't excited to go and register as voters. So we should allow IEBC to concentrate on other matters, for example, making sure that we do the printing of ballots with the right farms. I've seen the protest about the same. The Greek farm, like what Sharon Gitonga has mentioned, there's harmonization of the new voters and the existing voter register. There's also ensuring that IEBC as a commission really prepares adequately to ensure we have a free, fair, credible election come 2022. So they have so much in their plate, which they also need enough time really to prepare. And I do not think that registration of voters is the only exercise or obligation that IEBC really has to undertake.
It's just part of it. All right. Thank you so much, Samuel Tawish. Prof, end it for us, the extension to until Sunday. Will it make any difference in terms of voters?
Miriam,
yes.
Let me just start by saying this, that when I go to a church, and as I was preaching last Sabbath, I would always want to pray for expectant mothers. And then I pray for the children. And I pray for the young people. Why do I do so? Because this generation, Miriam, we are going. We must have people who are going to succeed us. And Miriam, after having made that point, Miriam, God has privileged me to go to some countries and see what happens, Miriam. And you know, Africa has got payback time, Miriam, that we have to pay back to Europe by taking the word of God. They brought it to us. And when you go there, Miriam, the younger population are not going to church. You find old men and women doing their 80s, 70s, late 70s and 90s, Miriam. They're the ones who are going to church. What will happen, Miriam, when this generation will go? The churches will be empty. Miriam, what is it that which has been done to the young people of this country, Miriam? And you know as I do. The people who brought the independence of this country, Miriam, were the young people. They are the one who went to the forest, Miriam, to fight for this country. What is this that has been done that our young people are no longer inspired to have a civic duty, Miriam, of taking this country forward? It is simply because leaders do disappear and don't perform their role, Miriam. Yesterday, Miriam, you were saying that we elect members of parliament. Yes, we do. They just go to parliament just to sign the attendance sheet, Miriam, and they go out, Miriam. And they earn money, Miriam. And then you tell the young people to go and vote Miriam. When they elect members of parliament, Miriam, to go and oversight and taking the government into a government civil servant accountable, Miriam, at the government institution, what they do, Miriam, the oversight role, Miriam, they are not doing it. Miriam, you just try to find out whether you can see your member of parliament. We elect them to serve us, but immediately they are just announced as winners, Miriam. They become our bosses, Miriam. They never go to their constituents, Miriam. They even, Miriam, go and claim forced marriage, Miriam. I'm building a case, Miriam, why the young people are so much disillusioned, Miriam. And Miriam, the young people do not see motivation, Miriam. Miriam, tell me of any politician, Miriam, whom you admire, even yourself. You can say this one at least is trying. Nobody. Look, even the 47 women that we have in parliament, Miriam. I thought, Miriam, the 47 of them is a voice which can be raising issues to do with women. True or not true, Miriam? That's a huge voice, Miriam. Parliament, Miriam, you only need to have how many of them to make a quorum and transact business? 30 of them. If these women, if these ladies were attending parliament, and the men counterpart will disappear, Miriam, they will be making laws, and these men will come back. What I'm trying to say that there is no motivation. There is no motivation from our leaders, Miriam. Our leaders, Miriam, they are openly right to us. And Miriam, the young people, what they need to do is to be inspired, Miriam. Miriam sees the kind of young people who have finished school, Miriam. They can't get jobs. The best they can be told, Miriam, is to be given a wheelbarrow, Miriam. I think the wheelbarrow has even discouraged them not to register as voters, Miriam. If this is the kind of man who is going to be our president, that the best he can give us, Miriam, is a wheelbarrow. I'm raising this point, Miriam, that the young people are also thinking for an opportunity, Miriam, not of even electing leaders, Miriam. It's on how to get involved themselves in corruption, Miriam. We have discussed about corruption, Miriam. You see how they openly steal from us the CDF money. Just go and find who are the village billionaires, Miriam. They are MCS, Miriam. You can see how they can twist the governor, Miriam, to give them money to go to Mombasa to Mombasa to go and swim. So the point I'm trying to do, Miriam, and I talk about sustainable development, Miriam, that we should be able to use the resources of today, having in mind there are some future generations which are going to come, so that we do not compromise them from using their own resources, Miriam. Even I see leadership as a resource which we can hand over to the next generation, Miriam. The kind of poverty which is going around, Miriam. See the money, Miriam, which we give as Youth Enterprise Fund and the Women Enterprise Fund. Sharon, you are a youth. Honestly, name to me any youth whom you have seen having benefited from Youth Enterprise Fund and change their life. And one, tell me that I've got a friend of mine and I can tell you, what do they do, Miriam? They steal that money. So, Miriam, a lot needs to be done. The extension is not going to help, Miriam. Do you know even the young people you are talking about, they don't even have national IDs for them to register as voters, Miriam. Do you know even sometimes, Miriam, even the registration centers they are put, Miriam, they are too far. Even for these young people to go and register, Miriam, that they need, you want to tell me a young person will take money so that he does this, Miriam, to go and register as a voter? This should be a concern, and thank you for raising, Miriam, this. If we don't talk to our young people, as I was saying, that, Miriam, that we need to engage. We need to have an honest conversation, Miriam, and engagement with our young people, and we hear from them. Let us not guess that this is what they are undergoing, people, Miriam. The young people are going some challenges, Miriam, and there's nobody who they can confide to. The best you can do, Miriam, see like what we call them, the coronavirus, the corona pandemic which has come, Miriam. Do you know, Miriam, that even want to have 10 shillings to buy that mask, Miriam, is not attainable, Miriam. So, Miriam, this is a complex issue, Miriam, that which will not be attributed, Miriam. Show me one leader who is a mentor of the young people, who can talk and inspire them, and then you can tell me that they can go under Chester, Miriam. We have taught our young people that what they need to do is to have shortcuts. That the best way you can make the top, Miriam, is to steal. And you can hear a 20-year-old young person telling you, Miriam, that in this country lazima ukate kona. Sasa mtu ameanza kuamini Miriam, do you know that sisi ni watoto wa Nyayo? Tulikunywa maziwa ya Nyayo. Do you know how we used to recite the Nyayo philosophy? which was giving us nationalism, Miriam. When Governor Mutua was the government spokesman, Miriam, he came with the concept of saying that nachifunia kuwa Mkenya. And the people turned it to Miriam that nachurumia kuwa Mkenya. That's the situation that's the situation of the young people are. They can compare themselves from the counterparts of what's happening in other countries, Miriam. It is the young people, Miriam. I come from a community. Where is the wish? Where's the wish? And you know, I come from a community, Miriam, where we are proud of our young people. If there were neighboring tribes then could come and take our animals and our women with just well, are there men here? That was enough for war. And Kenya is screaming. Kenya is wailing. Where are the young people are going to take over from us, Miriam? Whom are we mentoring, Miriam? Are we mentoring young people? We say that there's no... Miriam, let me tell you for one. Look at some of the members of the county assembly and the members of parliament and even the National Assembly. They are a little bit beautiful, Miriam. They are very young people, Miriam. The rest of Didi Nyoro, Miriam. Name them. See them. Babo Wino, Miriam. They are young people, Miriam. Are you seeing the kind of debate, Miriam, that we have from them? Can they inspire people, Miriam? So, Miriam, what we need to do, Miriam, we need that when the leaders do not disappear when they have been elected, Miriam, perhaps, and perform their roles when they have been elected, Miriam. We need people who are going to be role models to motivate and be mentors of the young people. And we want, Miriam, our leaders to speak the truth, because the young people will copy what the SAD does. And when you look at our leaders, Miriam, if it's a replica of the SAD, I submit.
Very well. Thank you so much, President. Not President, but Professor Jared Onyari, for that profound, ending of the show this morning. Thank you, Sharon Gitonga. Thank you, Samuel Tawish. Before we leave, there's a story here that caught my... Now that we've talked so much about young people today and the issue to do with the strikes and the schools banning, just a story here that has caught my attention. I'll just read it and leave it there. It's very short, and then maybe we'll contemplate about it, and tomorrow we'll come and maybe talk about it. I don't know. Now, students in a school in Baringo have walked out of the learning institution over alleged mistreatment and corporal punishment by teachers. Over 500 students from Tenges High School trekked for over 30 kilometers to Kabarnet town, where they demanded the immediate transfer of their principal. The school has a population of 1,200 students. They presented their grievances to Deputy County Commissioner Ruben Ratemo at Kabarnet Stadium. The boys stormed out of the school on Sunday midnight, but arrived in Kabarnet town yesterday at 7 a.m. Among their grievances was that their tea did not have enough milk, unlike before where they would drink rich tea. We would like our principal to be transferred. How can someone from a day school come and head a big school like Tenges? This is not fair, said one of the students. They also complained that the school library is too small. Sasa walikuwa na shida zingine tu hapo. But we'll have this conversation tomorrow. Very interesting. Chai imekuwa too poor, I think. Hakuna maziwa ya kutosha. So
in our day, we used to take strong tea.
That's what I'm telling you. I think these issues have to be balanced. With children, as I'm a mother, I know, a child would test and see the limits they can get away with. and
Yes.
test how consistent you were with your discipline and how you push them back. So I think we have to find a balance and see. There are times you let your child have their way, and there are times you have to step up and be the adult in the room. Okay. Thank you so much, Professor, and of course the rest
I
of the
salute you,
panelists.
Miriam. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant day.
Okay, you too. This has been Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu. I'll see you later on, together with Dr. David Matanga on, I think, diplomatic links at 3 p.m. East African time, as we continue with the conversation of COP26 that is taking place in Glasgow, Scotland. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Good morning.